All right, the next game we're going to talk about is a game we saw at PAX when we were there, and it intrigued us. It's called Torchlight, and if it looks and plays a lot like Diablo, it's no coincidence. It's made by
Diablo.
Runic Games, which and the designers are a few of the guys that made Diablo, guys that made a game called Fate, which is another Diablo clone that was really, really cool that I played a lot of a few years ago. And this very much is that dungeon crawler, keep going deeper and deeper, isometric perspective like Diablo, upgrade your guys, skill trees. You have a pet like you did in Fate that it works like an aid in combat as well as a mule that carries a lot of extra stuff for you. You can send it back to town to sell all your stuff while you stay down deep in the dungeons. And the really, really cool thing about this game is it's only $20 on Steam. So I want to hear what you think about Torchlight.
Yeah, Torchlight was really, really interesting. I hate to bring up Borderlands. I have a feeling, as Dan said in our review of Borderlands, that I think Borderlands is going to come up because it's sort of changed the way that I experience a certain type of game. And I would sort of put this into that category, which is I really enjoyed the game up to the point at which I realized nobody is going to know how awesome I'm doing at this game. Like, this is just me playing this game. And I almost had the thing where I sort of had the same thing you had with Forza. I started on normal and was destroying people. It was never hard. Mm-hmm. And as I leveled, I was like, no, I don't. Now I'm just doubly, I'm doing twice as much damage. And before I was killing them in one shot, now everybody is exploding into pools of blood. Literally, that is what was happening. Yeah. So I switched the difficulty, and I still was just able to go in, and maybe it was just the character I was playing, was able to go in and like 2-3 shots, waves of monsters were dead. And so then it was like, oh cool, I get all this gold and this loot, and it just got really boring. And I felt really bad about that because before it turned over into that boring town, I was really enjoying it. I loved the aesthetic. I enjoyed...
Well, I think maybe boring isn't what you mean to say.
Monotonous.
Don't you mean to say it pointless?
No, well,
because
yeah,
I think what
equals boring for me.
I think what you're expressing is that it became less fun when you realized there was nowhere else to take this experience.
Yeah,
right?
Yeah.
You were just playing for your own sake, and you don't get enough out of that.
No. That was part of the reason why it became boring for me, but I think it was also the same thing of, it literally was just a walk into a room, the things spawn, and I click towards them. That was my entire gameplay experience.
Well, that's Diablo. I mean, that's that kind of game.
It wasn't like choosing the different thing. Like, it didn't matter, like, the things I like are when like waves are coming, you're like, okay, there's more, I need to switch to this thing because that's the spell that works when I can do this, and in this situation that works. And for me, I had one...
in that game.
I know, but the problem was I had one thing, my first thing they gave me, I just leveled it up, and it was this arrow that like bounced around. And I tried the other stuff, but I was like, yeah, it doesn't work as good as the arrow bouncing around. So it became this move through, find the chest, open it up, shoot the people with the one button, and it got boring.
Go ahead.
Okay, so first let me say that I am definitely getting, and I'm looking ahead of what we're going to be reviewing in the next coming weeks, I'm getting XP'd out.
Well, Dragon Age is staring right at you next week.
I'm like, I will say
funny.
I never knew how addictive my personality is, and I'm playing these XP-based games, and they are killing me.
Softly.
And I'm getting a little bit like sick of it, but nothing against these games. It's just because I'm playing an inundation of them.
Well, and a lot of that also is this time of year where everything's coming out. We're having to play a lot of stuff in a very condensed period of time, and I'm sure that's a little fatiguing. Poor Dan has to play video games.
No, but the problem is, I played this game one time. I sat down last night. I played till 4 a.m. I could have sworn that 5 minutes had passed. Like, cause it just.
But I think that's a compliment to the game.
It is.
Yeah.
So this is a great game. I've never played Diablo except for when we played it at BlizzCon, the little tests, and I'm feared. I'm really scared for Diablo.
I think we all might be scared of Diablo.
yeah, because
Luckily, we got like 2 years before it comes out.
Yeah. If this game had co-op, I would never be out of my chair.
yeah, because it.
And that's saying a lot for a $20 game.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
mean, I mean, I'm looking for Diablo because it's like graphically it's a little different and all that, but I love the world. I mean, so this is a clockwork world.
And a much more cartoony aesthetic.
A cartoon, a very World of Warcraft aesthetic, but not a typical fantasy thing. I was an alchemist, and at one point I got to unlock an alchemical golem, which was this like tin can thing with like magic inside it, with beams of light that would kill things. Very cool. Like I love the imagination.
Yeah.
But I know what you mean, Alex. I felt for a while I was very powerful, but I think some of the pleasure is like almost like that Wolverine game, like
Yeah,
the pure
destroying
power,
the hordes,
destroying
yeah.
worlds. And it takes a long time for some challenge to enter, but even when or for some difficulty to enter, but even when that happens, it's still like I can only ever do my 1, 2, 3. I can only ever do my skill. It's not like I'm not like, oh, I need to do this first, and I need to kite someone over here. Like it's really just all I can ever do is just tap buttons. So I wish there was more there, and I will say, eventually it got to a point where the worlds it wasn't just dungeony stuff, it was the molten world, like it really started to get cooler. But I wish that they could, why is it that when I play Uncharted, there's the train level, and there's this level, and there's that level, and then whenever I play MMOs or this kind of game, it's why are they so uncreative in their game design? Like
I don't know if it's uncreative.
And I don't
think it's a lack of creativity. I think it may be a specific genre they're working in, and those genre has certain tropes that are mined a little bit too frequently. Some of the creatures that you fight in this game are absolutely original and awesome.
No, I agree. That's why I think it's imaginative.
I love the pet stuff. The way the pet works is great.
I think it's very imaginative, but I wish that the actual game design would do something more. And I'm speaking not just of Torchlight, because I think you're dead on. It's working in that genre. I wish that this genre would learn from itself and say, we need to do something. We need to amp it up.
It also, this game really made me realize what wasn't in Borderlands. Because any kind of crafting, any kind of adding elemental stuff to weapons and stuff like that. Armor I was surprised at how much I missed armor.
And by the way, the mule, having the pet that takes stuff back for you, I think that's a brilliant role-playing thing.
Yeah, amazing.
What did you think?
I loved it, and I think it's a steal at $20. I think anybody should check it out on Steam. It's phenomenal. I wish it had co-op, yes, but one thing it does have that nobody's talked about yet, which is completely moddable. They put out all the stuff that you need to mod this game, and I could foresee people taking this in crazy directions.
I'm excited about that.
So yeah, I think people should definitely check out Torchlight.
I vouch for that for sure.
Yeah, definitely.
It's a time suck.